Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about a Batman Superman World's Finest issue 35 by Mark Waid, Adrian Gutierrez and Tamara Bonvillain. The World's Finest head 20,000 leagues under the sea as Mera contacts Arthur and the Justice League regarding Poseidonus and Tritonus, the underwater sister cities that make up the lost continent of Atlantis. Mera reveals that something terrible has happened as the kelp farms have been poisoned. And when some of the mer people of Tritonus try to farm it, it attacks them, turning them into monsters which soon grow in numbers and begin trying to breach the underwater cities. I always love a visit to Atlantis and its neighboring cities like Tritonus, since I think many people believe Atlantis is the city and it's only one city, not a continent or a nation. So getting to explore that and kind of make that distinction here very early on in the story is a good thing. 10 minutes prior in Metropolis, Robin and Aquaman watch the Metropolis Monarchs versus the Star City Rockets in baseball. Robin is shocked Arthur knows a lot about baseball, being he's the king of an underwater kingdom, although he reminds the boy Wonder that he grew up the son of a lighthouse keeper who had access to television. Superman soon joins them and all three take in the game as Superman assures Robin they have dealt with Toyman. Their free time is soon interrupted by Batman, who tells them that they are needed on the ocean floor. The heroes soon find the infected Atlanteans Mera told them about, letting Aquaman leave to help save his city as they deal with the infected people. Batman and Robin's underwater costumes here are very simple but really fucking cool. It's just totally like action figure variants you usually would get with Batman, you know, Ocean Attack Batman or something like that. And it's always awesome to see special suits or some cool gear the heroes use on missions here in this book, since it's done it in spades. Batman and Robin take on the infected people using motorized batarangs and sunlight, which the underwater people aren't used to best them. Superman meanwhile crafts a giant net out of seaweed and uses it to trap all of the infected Atlanteans. Superman tells the uninfected Atlanteans to seal the city dome, and they question if Aquaman will actually be there, hinting that maybe the king isn't around as much as he should be. Superman gets to work trying to find out what he can about the plague infecting the people, finding it's fungal in nature. There's a very cool use of his powers here as Batman has Superman use his heat vision to inscribe the chemical compound of this disease on a rock so he can then send it to Alfred to run through the Bat computer. Their investigation is put on hold though when Superman hears the familiar telepathic voice of Laurie Lamaris, his old flame from when he was a kid. Laurie is really making a comeback between this, Wade using her in the Last Days of Lex Luthor book, and even Jeremy Adams using her over in the Aquaman ongoing. I do like that she is more than just a Superman supporting character now, and she has her own stories, her own adventures to tell separate from Clark. I'm looking forward to getting to see how Wade deploys her in this story. Laurie comes to meet the heroes alongside her husband, King Ronol, ruler of Tritonus. Now Ronol is a real dick, completely blowing off the heroes when Batman tries to introduce himself to the man. And this is pretty par for the course for Ronol. He's kind of like this guy who's just kind of seen as a foil for, you know, Superman or Aquaman or whoever is the opposite to him in the story. And that's really all he's ever been written as. He never really has anything else, and I can understand why you would want to write him as that, since he is kind of like the opposite to Aquaman, so it would make sense for him to be the opposite in almost every way. Team split up with Laurie wanting to talk with Superman privately, leaving Batman and Robin to go and check on Poseidonus. Aquaman meanwhile helps out Mera with the infected trying to get into the city dome, using some of his underwater friends to help seal the city off. I like that he also warns them not to kill any of the infected people since they are innocent and are just being possessed by some sort of plague. Mera ends up getting to the point here really quite plainly, stating that Arthur's people need his undivided attention, and while she's doing her best to calm the people, they will only listen to him, their king. Arthur agrees and addresses the people, assuring them that while he deals with threats on the surface alongside the Justice League, he is still faithful to the people. They don't really believe him, however, citing his mixed blood and how he loves the surface more than Atlantis. They demand that he show respect to the throne, and Adrian Gutierrez does a really awesome thing here to visualize how the whole city is there screaming at Arthur, with giant text covering the artwork and drowning Arthur and everything out. Till every few years this story also crops up where Atlantis doesn't like Aquaman, you know, leading them or like leaving them to help the surface world and being a Justice League hero, and they try and oust him from power. One of those stories, much like how Wonder Woman always has like a new origin, or like, something to do with her origin, Aquaman has this story where someone's trying to usurp his throne. And I guess that's kind of part and parcel with being a king of a nation, but it just sucks that that's kind of like where he's stuck in like a rut at the moment, where he's always, doing these types of stories. Though that being said, Jeremy Adams' current solo series for Aquaman is excellent and actually different from everything we've seen so far. In Tritonus, Superman reunites with Laurie, who reveals that she has brought Superman alone to Tritonus for a reason, showing him that her people have convinced Ronol that Aquaman's people are behind the infection, and they are amassing a counterstrike against Arthur and Poseidonus before he can attack. Superman, of course, refuses to let this happen, wanting to talk them out of this rather than turn to violence. Ronol isn't interested in the hero's thoughts, instead wanting him to think about the origins of the infection, citing how his people witnessed Aquaman's people from Poseidonus in and around their territory for days before the infection. Superman knows that war is not the only option here, but Ronol is intent on launching his attack, attacking Superman with his magical weapons, which weaken the hero. Now, Ronol's quote-unquote betrayal is pretty obvious since, while he's not an outright villain, as I said before, he's always kind of like the opposite foil to whoever the hero is of the story. He's a very arrogant and quick to act on violence man, usually veiling it in, like he's doing here, protecting his people or his queen or something like that. And I'm intrigued to see what Wade has in store for him. So there's got to be like a twist, because Wade has always done these like twists in these stories where nothing is as it seems, or it's not as simple as it seems. Ronol takes Superman captive, planning on interrogating him to find out who poisoned his people. Superman manages to contact Batman, as in Poseidonus, Batman and Robin find the people beginning to rally against Arthur. Before they can respond on Superman's message about Ronol's invasion, the heroes are grabbed by the kelp, which tells them they won't be telling Aquaman or anyone else about the entertainment it has in store for them. The kelp is revealed to be the Floronic Man, who has been manipulating both sides of Atlantis for his enjoyment. Now, this is what I meant when I said that Wade always seems to have like a different twist on stories, and Floronic Man is a really out of left field choice for a villain. It's been a while since I've actually seen him, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Wade incorporates him into the story. Like, why is he attacking Atlantis now? Very interesting villain to be doing this list, a very weird villain, so I'm really looking forward to it. Batman Superman, World's Finest issue 35, kicked off the book's next 3-issue arc with a fun adventure down into Atlantis, along with some surprising villains Batman, Superman, and their friends to face. There is some predictable plot progression happening with Aquaman and Ronol of Tritonus, but with the reveal of the Floronic Man manipulating everything, I'm hopeful Mark Waid and his team pull off an exciting twist-filled adventure before the book heads into the big summer tie-in event with the Justice League Unlimited book. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10.